Okay, so we now have our new Springfield Range Officer Elite Champion Lightweight. And before we take it out in the range, we're going to take it apart and just inspect it, make sure everything's good to go before we get out there. Now, the Springfield R.O. Elite Champion is a 1911, but it's a little bit different in the way it comes apart than a standard 1911. Some 1911s have a GI guide rod, which allow you to press in the guide rod plug, turn the bushing, remove the slide, pull the spring out, and it's totally disconnected. Some now 1911s require a removal tool to remove that bushing because you have a full-length guide rod. Well, with this gun, it's a little bit different. There is a full-length guide rod and a bull barrel, but the way it comes apart is very different. And that's what we're going to do right now. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put the slide lock on like it is now. This also shows that the gun is completely empty, no rounds, so we're good to go. Once you've put the slide lock on, you're going to take this little key that comes in the package. It comes in the package with the fiber optic bag. So don't throw your fiber optic bag away, and don't throw this key away. What you're going to want to do is right here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, there's a tiny hole. And this key is going to fit right in that hole, like so. You might have to work it in a little bit. So there you go. So it can flop around, that's 100% normal, don't worry about that. But keep it kind of facing forward. Once you've done that, you're going to release the slide to the slide lock release point on the slide. Eject that out. Now the slide's going to come completely loose. What you're going to do now is push the barrel forward or back. Then you're going to grab this whole assembly. It's going to come right out, as you see. And notice the pin is still inside there. I have not taken that out. That's holding this bushing back. And your barrel is now out. Your slide is now removed. And you have the spring assembly here. Now, this is where it can get fun. What you have to do is press this bushing down to pull this pin out, to pull the entire spring out. Okay, so to remove the bushing and the spring from the full-length guide rod, you have to remove this key and slowly pull the bushing and spring off of the guide rod. To do that, I've taken a bushing removal tool and modified it. I just made a small hole and a key type design. So you're gonna lay that over it. You're gonna press down. That little key falls. Now there's tremendous pressure. So you wanna keep your hand kind of in there. Kind of grab the spring. Okay, to put this back together, I gotta know where my lock hole is here. So I'm gonna point that at approximately 4 o'clock position, so I know where it is. I have my spring and my bushing. Now the bushing has a little bit of a ridge to it that goes down. So it's guide rod, spring, and bushing. So it looks kind of like that. All right. Now again, making sure I know where my little lock hole is, it's pointing at the 4 o'clock position. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my spring in first. I'm going to feed the spring down. Remember, there's lots of pressure behind this. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses. Put the key in that I made. Put my key in here. Straight up. Slides right out, and now my whole mechanism is locked together. Next step I'm going to do, I'm going to take my slide, after I cleaned it, of course, install my barrel like a normal 1911 from the front, press it all the way in, like so. Now, if you notice, the guide rod, like all 1911s, has a little bit of a ridge. That's going to go against the barrel. Lock that in. Now you're going to move this to the front of the slide. So everything looks perfect just like that. Okay, to reassemble, what you want to do is make sure your spring and bushing is forward. Make sure your barrel is forward. Make sure your key is forward. And your lineup hole for your slide lock is, I guess you want to say, straight down. Take your frame and your slide, make them together. Go to your first notch, just press that in, and you're good to go. Second, what you want to do is now release the tension off the spring, so you want to put it in the slide lock position. Now if you notice, this key becomes very loose, and that can just come right out. Remember, don't lose that. Now, your slide is in the locked open position, just like any standard 1911. Check for function. Give it a pull on the trigger. Make sure they work.